Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first session in our security webinar series, Reduce Risk with Risk, Designing and Maintaining Secure Embedded Linux Devices with Advantech Risk Platforms. I'm Teresa Kisha, your host for today. Joining me today is Maciej Halasz, Vice President of Technology here at Timesys. Maciej heads up our EMEA office and will be the instructor for today's session. Also on board with us today is Jason Zhu, Risk Product Manager at Advantech. Today we begin this 5-part webinar series with session 1, Monitoring and Patching Security Vulnerabilities Throughout the Embedded Linux Product Lifecycle. Before we begin, I'd like to take a minute to mention just a few things. This session will be recorded and available post-event so that you can view it at a later date. The link to the recording, along with a link to today's slides, will be emailed to everyone within the next 24 hours. During today's session, we'll be asking 2 poll questions, which will help us to better understand our audience and help us tailor content for future sessions. Each question will pop up during the presentation, so all you need to do is make your choice. In order to keep things moving and within the time allotted, all attendees will be on mute during the presentation. Following the session, we'll have a 10 to 15 minute question and answer session to answer questions. If you would like to ask a question, you can simply post it via the questions window panel, and either Maciej, Jason, or I will answer it during the Q&A. And finally, after each of the 5 sessions, one lucky attendee will receive an Advantech RSB 4411 SBC, compliments of Advantech. All attendees of today's session will be automatically entered into the giveaway drawing for this session. The winner for each session will be notified by email, and we'll announce this week's winner at the beginning of session 2. So good luck, everyone. And now, without any further delay, I'll hand over the controls to Maciej to get things started. Thanks again for joining us, and we hope you enjoy today's session.
Thank you very much, Teresa, and welcome everyone. Let's take a look first at the agenda of session 1. So we're going to start by talking about security, why security is important. We're going to briefly discuss Advantech and Timesys partnership. And specifically, my colleague from Advantech, Jason, is going to be talking about Advantech Risk Platforms. And right after that, we're going to discuss security in an embedded Linux device. How do you perceive security? Designing a device with it, and then how do you stay secure? Security vulnerabilities is a big topic. We're going to discuss what they are. Why do we care about security vulnerabilities, and how do we manage them? How do we keep Linux devices secure is the next topic, followed by a solution from Timesys on how to stay secure in your product. So we're going to discuss continuous security monitoring for your products, vulnerability push and pull notification, patch notification, and we're going to finish the discussion today on security by discussing BSP maintenance service from Timesys. As Teresa said, there is a giveaway after today's session, so good luck to everyone. Is security important? Well, what does it mean? It's security as a definition is a broad term, and I looked actually for some of the synonyms, and when people talk about security, they typically think about being protected, defended, guarded, immune from some sort of security attack, unassailable. So there's definitely a lot of different meanings to the word security. In the embedded world, we typically mean behind security a way to prevent unauthorized use of the device or data it collects, stores, or transmits. And in embedded devices, I pulled up a couple of examples. In a control unit example, something that we would mount in cars. Data collection is used in measuring devices, user access point in point of sales, and so on. When we look at security from the different market segment perspective, security is really if it hasn't been considered in specific market, probably by now it is being looked at. So we see security topics popping up in financial, medical, industrial automation, and every single market that embedded devices are being designed in. So why do we care about security is the next question. We hear a lot of stories. So one of the stories, actually, I prepared two stories to mention today on a session. The first story is about hacking a nuclear power plant. Well, don't worry, it wasn't the safety systems, it was the business side of the nuclear power plant. But you know, it's an attack vector which allows a hacker to perhaps get some passwords for the secure system, right? So, but the story got a lot of coverage, and people start thinking about security more and more. A little bit closer to our heart example is one that was told around a Jeep Cherokee. There was a researcher who basically was able to access the car systems sitting outside of a car using just a wireless connection. So using one of the technologies that nowadays is being installed in vehicles. And through this access point, the researcher was able to take full control over braking system, steering, ignition. As we know, many of the systems in our cars right now are controlled through electronics, and getting access to them remotely is a big security challenge. So we do care about security for sure. And these are just two stories. I'm sure that everyone on the call today in a seminar have heard some other stories and would be able to tell some other examples. So building secure devices with Advantech risk platforms, this is where I'm going to pass the baton over to Jason, and he's going to introduce us to the topic of Advantech risks platforms.
Hello everyone, this is Jason Zhu from Advantech. I'm the risk PM and under embedded IoT group. And today, welcome everyone joining us for the webinar. And today I'm talking about the Advantech risk platform and with the cooperation with Timesys. First of all, just give you a little introduction of what Advantech do and what's the Advantech was established in 1983, and right now it is a leading provider of trust, innovation, product, service, and solutions. And Advantech offers comprehensive system integration, hardware, software, customer design, service, embedded system, automation, and right now we are more focused on IoT. We are Advantech risk product are released along with all the standard evaluation key to evaluate performance and stability. In the past, the EV key is also the software development platform for developing application in the early stage. It does include a complete image, test program, utility, the SOP, so customer can verify software and hardware compatibility easily. The complete package include the BSC bootloader, middleware, SUSE API, we call SUSE API, or corresponding document software developing guide, API illustration, and driver list or something like that. And the customer can get all the information and source code they needed from Advantech and all the standard offering the free charge. But in the past, we are lacking of our security features. That's exactly why we're here today, so we can bundle with Timesys, which is like leading software provider and solution offer, so we can more focus on the security in the ARM base. For the board level, Advantech offers various risk solutions, including risk module, single board computer, and box solutions based on ARM processor technology. Our risk module can fulfill different market demands, standard Q7 risk module and smart module for handheld device in the industrial application. Also, the RTX, which is a little bit larger on this one. RTX form factor is Advantech proprietary specification, which is a RISC standard platform designed for ruggedized application. Through its innovation, mechanical and electric design, product design with RTX can perform in complex and challenging environments such as military, logistic, transportation, and fleet management, and in many other industrial applications. In RISC's SBC offering, we optimize our boards with simplified I/O for vertical market, like RSB board for signage and industrial control. And for the RISC box solutions, we design plug-and-play RISC box for specific use as signage. And right now, it's red hot. The thing is called IoT. So that brings the new version of the future that RISC-based devices are all over everywhere. Like I said before, the computer on module, we have different form factor, RTX, Q7, Smart. Also, we now for NXP is our #1 semiconductor vendor, but we not only in cooperation with NXP, we also cover with Qualcomm, TI, Rocket Chip, and all that stuff. But right now, we just focus on NXP because NXP is our best-selling product, and we are doing the security bundling with Timesys. So, and also the single board computers, we have mini ITX form factor, we have 3.5 inches form factor. So basically, we have from low end to the high end to provide the extremely low power consumption and easy expansion capability to help you help customer reduce our hardware design efforts. Advantech and Timesys not just ecosystem partner right now anymore. In the past, we're doing ODM design and we need help with them. But right now, we're not just the ecosystem partner. We have bundled together to offer the customer the overall solution, the new solution, the security bundle in the hardware. So everything is bundling. From Advantech side, we provide at least 7 years longevity, sometimes 10 years longevity, and we provide the excellent like Advantech fast no revision control, and also the design service. The customer no longer need to take a risk of a data stock, material shortage, or any unexpected cost up for the. So we are the best for the revision control, and also on the Timesys side, easy to use for security feature. We are going to add the security solutions, engineering service, and support. Also, we are bundling the security notification into our Advantech board level product. So Marcia will talk about a little bit more in the next couple slides. Are we going to talk about the core? Hey, Margie, you are the presenter right now.
Okay, so thank you so much. Let me reshare my slides again. Well, now it just popped up. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, Jason, for a great introduction of the Advantech's risks products. And I want to say again that the solution from Advantech and Timesys provides great hardware and great software solution for designing new products especially when security is an important aspect of the design. And so when designing security, we are starting with, typically in a product, we are starting with designing a prototype or designing a product using reference boards. And in that product development phase, which can take from 6 to 24 months for some projects, probably even longer, when we look at the security, we would start thinking about how to authenticate the software, how to protect the data that a device is handling. So terms such as secure boot, data at rest security, data in motion security, data in use security are typically on our minds when we are implementing the software. So when we are building the Linux kernel and the file system, the applications, when we are combining everything into a releasable product, we are building that security into the device. Those topics we are going to cover in the next sessions in this webinar series. So coming session number 2, we're going to be talking about secure boot. But today we are focusing on staying secure, which actually happens when the product is either released to the market, but also as you're developing the product in that product development phase. But when we are thinking about what happens to the product when it's in hands of our customers from a security perspective, we have to consider ways to keeping it secure over its entire product lifetime, right? So the products that nowadays are being released, their lifetime goes from 2 to 10, maybe even 15 or 20 years. So over that period of time, we have to find ways to identify threats to that product and then to mitigate those threats. So have some sort of a solution, some sort of a process in place that would assist with keeping the device secure. So the way we look at the product, the secure product, is building security in the initial design stage, but also starting with the initial design stage, look at the ongoing security, look at what has been reported against that software that can cause issues to the product or security of the data that the product is handling. So today we're going to talk a lot more about threat identification and threat mitigation to the product. Security vulnerabilities, that's an important topic because when we talk about securities, this is probably the key concept that we hear. So what is a CVE? It's a publicly known cybersecurity issue. Publicly known means it's reported and it is in some sort of lists. And those lists typically sit on cvemeter.org. How does reporting of a common vulnerability and exposure work? When a security issue, vulnerability is discovered, and it can be discovered by anyone, a CVE identifier is first created. So everyone can go to that website and create a CVE identifier. And then there is an organization, the CVE Numbering Authority organization, that assigns the CVE ID and posts that particular CVE on a CVE list on a CVE website. Every single CVE entry includes the unique identifier for the CVE. There's typically a year that follows the CVE letters, and then there's a number, unique number. There's a brief description of the security vulnerability and exposure, and other references. So a report from other parties can enhance the description for the CVE, and that's where those references come into play. So I think that this is clear what CVE is. In terms of numbering authority, not a single organization. It's actually organizations from around the world, names that you probably some of them are familiar with. So there's 87 organizations participating as CNAs right now. Companies, projects as well that develop with different types of software. When we look at Linux, at the Linux world, you can identify here some of the names: Red Hat, Google, Canonical, Qualcomm. They all are involved with development with Linux. So they could be also organizations assigning CV IDs. So when we talk about vulnerabilities, is it a big issue? Well, I looked at some of the statistics, and what struck me is that last year, and let me bring up this one graph here up front, in 2017, there was over 14,000 of vulnerabilities reported. It's a big spike, right? You can see the progression of CVE reporting. And in 2018, we are barely into May, and we already have close to 6,000 vulnerabilities reported. So there is a growing trend in identifying security issues and, of course, addressing them. A key to solving a security threat is to first know about it. And I think that this information that I'm presenting to you right now shows the best that, well, this CVE reporting approach is working. In terms of type of vulnerabilities that you can find in the tables, there are denial of service, execute of code vulnerabilities, overflow vulnerabilities, many different types. So how do we keep devices secure? When you design a product with security in mind, you have to integrate additional governance into the development process, something that would help you prevent security issues, those security vulnerabilities to be explored by hackers. So there are many vulnerabilities reported for open source projects. And again, I used the CVE details to pull some of the information for us. You can see that vulnerabilities are reported for Linux, for Canonical, for Debian, for Mozilla. So not only for a product, because Microsoft is listed here as well, as you can see, but vulnerabilities are reported for Debian and for Linux. And Debian, of course, is using Linux, but vulnerabilities are reported independently for Linux kernel-related issues, as opposed to Debian, distribution-related issues. But some of them may absolutely be applicable to embedded Linux-based products, so we have to be aware of them. When we look at the table below, for every vulnerability, there is a scoring assigned. So how severe a specific issue is, and it's on a scale from 0 to 9+. You can see that on the Linux kernel, many of the vulnerabilities are high up in this scale. So 6, I would say, is pretty important already, should be pretty important to us, and 7, 8, absolutely. And this scoring is probably one of the best ways to assess how severe a specific vulnerability can be to a product that you develop. So one more statistic, I pulled a package that is commonly used in the embedded Linux products, package called openssl, which is used to secure communication. And there are 316 total number of vulnerabilities for this particular package that have been reported, 12 vulnerabilities alone found in 2017. And if you look at the table on this slide, there is 351 patches, so fixes to vulnerabilities that have been reported for openssl. So it's pretty active from a security perspective package in Linux, and as I said, because it's used for communication, it's quite important. But it's just one package. In a design of a product, we typically have 10 to hundreds of packages involved. So we have to remember that and think about it from that perspective. So how do we keep Linux devices secure? When I thought about the process of what it would take for me to keep my device secure, I started thinking about, well, the project and the software that goes into this product. So there's a software manifest that describes different bits and pieces that go into the software, to the BSP, to the product. And for every line in this manifest, I would have to go and search the database of vulnerabilities for a package. Like in this case, let's pick the openssl. You can see that I search for openssl here. As part of my search, I was given a list of CVE vulnerabilities that, well, may be applicable to my product. You can see that there is 1, 2, all the way to, I think, 10 pages of CVEs for openssl. So what are the challenges with this part of the process? Sometimes it's very difficult to identify which open source is really used and maintained from the security perspective as well. That's one of the challenges. Another one is there is no unified approach to how the vulnerabilities are reported. So one engineer can report vulnerability against the Linux kernel tag. Another engineer can report it against just a kernel tag, right? So, and we would be interested in both. So that's one of the challenges. Did I find all the known vulnerabilities that can affect me? And then as the process continues, and I have this list of vulnerabilities, I have an option to either upgrade an openssl package or apply a security fix, a patch to the openssl example in this case. If I upgrade a package, if I bump the package to a new version, I would have to first identify what versions are available and then run security vulnerability searches on a per version to make sure that the vulnerability that I'm concerned about is really addressed in this version of the package. Let's say that it is, then I replace the software in my product. Another approach is to find a patch that addresses my vulnerability and then apply the patch or a set of patches to address the CVE. And that's one of these two or both combined for the root file system get me to a release, another iteration that keeps my product secure. Now, the challenges in this stage is finding software versions that could be used and maintained is time consuming, right? So if I'm navigating through this upgrade process, that's time consuming. To find patches, that's also time consuming, but I also have to worry about dependency between patches. And if I apply patches, I would have to maintain perhaps some of them or backport. Replacing software in a product can also be very invasive. So decision of upgrading a package versus patching that package may affect the scope of testing. So there's a lot of decisions that I would have to make in the process. And at Timesys, we looked at it and we wanted to provide a solution which, well, projects and products could very easily consume, could very easily add to their engineering processes, and well, save all the effort, energy, constantly looking for security fixes for vulnerabilities and for patches. So let me, in the next few slides, discuss what is it that we did. So at Timesys, we have a searchable database which collects CVEs from different sources. And we at Timesys have a dedicated security team called Trust. And that team is making sure that the CVEs that are now a searchable database are intended for embedded Linux. Now, from that searchable database, with Timesys CVE Manager, which I'm going to talk a little bit more in the next slide, you can check whether there are security vulnerabilities that affect your product. So we allow our customers to verify the list of vulnerabilities against a specific software manifest. So software manifest is typically associated with product definition. So it's always relevant. And with our security notification service, we provide information about vulnerabilities that are fixed, but also the ones that are unfixed. And we differentiate between them, of course. So CVE Manager, it removes disambiguation because a package from one distribution or a CVE reported against one distribution may use a different package name. So our team makes sure that we understand that a specific CVE is reported against a baseline package X, Y, and Z. So this disambiguation is removed. We only keep relevant CVEs. So if a CVE has been reported against a Windows operating system, it would not help our Linux customers. So we make sure that you're not bothered with those CVEs. And we identify false positives. Let's say that there is a CVE reported against Perl. So if you search for CVEs against Perl, you may find some vulnerabilities, but in fact, those vulnerabilities may be reported against some of the extensions modules used by the Perl script. So we make sure that we mark all the CVEs in the right way so that our customers can really use the relevant information for the product. We have mechanisms for pushing and pulling the information on vulnerabilities, and I'll discuss both of them in the next couple of slides and a little demo that I've prepared for you. The mechanism for security vulnerability notification is enabled for Yocto build system, as well as at Timesys we have a factory build system. But today we're going to be focusing primarily on Yocto, so the demo that I'll show you will explain in details how a Yocto-based build system can be used with security notification and patching to recognize the vulnerabilities and address them in an automated way. So let's start with ongoing security. And how do we assist with security vulnerability notification? We have created a set of tools and scripts that you can load on top of a Yocto project that you use to build a product. The meta Timesys is the meta layer that provides these scripts for security notification. It uses BitBake, it works with BitBake-based build systems, and it uses secure communication with Timesys servers. Why does it communicate with the Timesys servers? Because, well, we need to understand your software manifest and run a check against our database maintained by our trust team. So the security is provided on specific BSP image, which is associated typically with a product that you are working on and planning to release in the market. The security notification is not going to appear for packages that are present in your Yocto build system, but are not used by the BSP image that you're building for the product. Okay, so it's important to note that because a Yocto BSP can come with hundreds of packages, out of which only, let's say, 20 are used for the BSP image for the product. So the security notification is going to be provided on packages, on software that you are using for the product itself. Okay. How do we run it? We have to use Yocto bitbake. So we have to set up bitbake run shell. And from within that directory, you simply execute from meta times scripts manifest.sh. That's going to generate a manifest, a list of software packages that are used by this here, FSL image multimedia full, is a definition of the BSP. So what are the packages involved in a root file system for that BSP? And that information in the next step is used to identify security vulnerabilities. So we have this check CVEs script, which allows to look at the manifest and identify which packages have CVEs reported, which ones are fixed, which ones are unfixed. So I have a couple of screenshots to show you exactly how this looks. So this is the software manifest, where we collect all the information about the package, like in this example, BusyBox. What are the CVEs that already are applied to this package, and the locations for those patches. And the CVE check, the information about security when it returns provides this type of information. So for a package like expat, you can see that there is a CVE reported 2015-1283. It's in a state fixed, and here is the patch that has been applied. And for the D package, there is another CVE reported, which is currently in a state unfixed. Okay, so that's the type of information that you should expect to be returned from Timesys CVE manager, from Timesys database, and it's relevant because it's against the product software that you've developed. Then you have ability to connect to a Linux link. It's a website where you can take a closer look at the information that I just showed you, the vulnerability report, in a more graphical way. So we use the report that we generated, and we can show to you exactly which packages are affected, how many there are unfixed, fixed packages. There's also high CVSS score packages, so we can give you a hint as to which vulnerabilities are really causing or are more important than others. Okay, and so these were pull notification mechanisms. Here is the push notification mechanism, where for every report that you generate, that you let's say ask Timesys server to generate the security vulnerability report, you can subscribe to this definition, and every single time trust team from Timesys identifies security vulnerabilities that affect this product definition, you'll receive an email. You'll be notified, and therefore you can take action, appropriate action to mitigate the problem. Okay, so this is the push notification mechanism. When it comes to solving those issues, patching is the method that is commonly used in open source. It's modifying, inserting, removing code, and in a manual process, that would be quite complex to identify the patches, because you would have to look at many sources. You would have to look at mailing lists, get to know the patch set very well, and then identify the dependency, modify the Yocto recipes, and then perhaps you would have to take responsibility for maintaining those patches moving forward, because if you, let's say, backport a patch to a specific solution, you would become an owner of that modified patch. Okay. So Timesys provides an easy solution to the patching challenge by offering you a meta-Timesys security meta layer, which basically provides you with a set of patches that Timesys maintains, and it integrates directly into your build system, into your Yocto project build system. You simply identify that you want to add meta-Timesys security into your product, and automatically you would receive information about patches that are in place for security vulnerabilities that affect your product. So I'll show you the exact process in the next demo that's coming up. But by using meta-Timesys security, you don't need to spend your own resources on active patch searches, how to apply those patches into your product definitions, or use your resources to maintain patches. Okay. All right, so let me show you real quick how this is done in a live system. So I'm going to switch here screens. I apologize, there is a little technical issue here as I don't see the screen that I want to show you here in the drop-down list in GoToWebinar. So we'll do it the other way. So hopefully you can see it. Yeah, I think you can. So this is an Ubuntu system, and I'm navigating right now to just through the Yocto project. You can see that I have meta-Timesys and meta-Timesys security installed. The meta-Timesys security is not enabled in the first step. So I'm going back to or actually, first, I want to show you that in meta-Timesys, there is nothing. Well, they are just scripts, and I've just run the CVE check, and scrolling through the list of available images. Here's the FSL image multimedia full that I showed you, which defines which packages are in my root file system. And I'm querying the Timesys servers for any vulnerabilities, any security vulnerabilities that are reported against this image definition. So here's the result. You can see that there is quite a few entries here. I have an expat package, which is fixed, and that has already been fixed in the distribution that I've received from Advantech. The D package is unfixed, but I don't know if there is a patch yet available for it. Now, at the bottom of this report, there is a direct link to the website where I can take a closer look at this report in a more friendly way. To get access to it, I have to log into a Linux Link. You can get a free account in Linux Link to view these. And here's the report. You can see that it's against this particular image multimedia full, and this is for the Advantech 4411 board. And if I scroll down, you can see that I have 75 unfixed and only one fixed security vulnerability. It's important because I'll just talk about patches next. So one fixed security vulnerability in this report. Now, if I scroll down in this report, so let me turn this back on and let's scroll down, you can see information, more detailed information on a per package basis with a specific link to a CVE vulnerability report. So I can navigate through this information, find out when it was last modified, find the severity metrics, and if I want to take a closer look at it, the information is right there. And references to other advisory solutions, so different mailing lists and whoever else reported any information on this particular vulnerability. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to add the security meta times the security layer. So I want to show you what happens if you have access to the patching service from Timesys. I just added it to my Yocto build system. And now I'm going to show you that inside this meta Timesys security, I not only have their different scripts, but also different patches. So let's navigate to recipes core. There is libxml2, and let's do slash here and tab. You can see that there's quite a few patches there for libxml2. Okay, so now let's rerun security check again using the Timesys check CVE's script, which we've used before. So I'm rerunning the security check connecting to Timesys servers, and I'm going to rerun the security check against exact same image, so FSL image multimedia full. So this is completing right now, and when it comes back, I can very quickly navigate to the results, and here we go. So if I scroll up, you can see that there is the shadow that is in a fixed state, so that's good. That wasn't there before. If I scroll up, you can see that I am using libxml2, and it is fixed right now, and you can see that the patch is coming from Meta Timesys security. So by using Meta Timesys security, automatically you can apply the patches that we maintain. And now if I look at the report in Linux Link, you can see that I don't have one fix, but 14 fixed CVEs. Okay? So this is the difference between using just a notification service from Timesys versus using notification and patching service from Timesys. Okay. So very quickly, before I'm done with this demo, I showed you the reporting. Now I can access also the security notification management. And now I have these two reports that I've just queried the Timesys systems for, and I can select the first one. And now for the first definition, I will receive notifications from Timesys whenever there's a new vulnerability report available, or actually if there's a new CVE against my my product software definition. Okay, so at this point I'm going to stop this demo, and let's return back to slides. And real quick, when you use Timesys security vulnerability notification, there's no really work for you, because our trust team maintains the CVE list, our database, and you can just leverage this. You can filter out the noise. There is a lot of CVEs that are being reported, as I showed you in statistics, and we only provide you access to those that are important to your product. You can get notifications when you want them, when you need them, especially the important ones. You know, sometimes there is a report that gets publicized a lot. So knowing that there is a detailed explanation about that vulnerability reaching your inbox very quickly is important. Access to CVE details is very easy through this system. You will always know what is affected. And to track the modifications, it's also simple, as you have seen. So I think that we want to do a quick poll here before we complete. Yep. So please select your answers, and we have a few more minutes for just one more slide, and then we're going to open up the floor to questions. Okay. The notification service for vulnerabilities and for patches is a service that allows you to maintain your product secure. But if you're interested in having your product secured by a partner such as Timesys, we have a service for you. If you can share with us your board support package, if you can share with us your hardware, we can monitor vulnerabilities, apply those fixes for those issues to your BSP, and provide you with a tested board support package that you can simply re-release or bundle your application on top and then re-release in the field. Okay. More information on this BSP lifecycle maintenance, as well as our security offering, you will find on Timesys website. Today we are talking about how to stay secure. So the service in the middle is what we've, the first one, security notification subscription. So the top one is the one that we are talking about today. Next time, we're going to talk about parts of Stay Secure service and Secure by Design service. So takeaways from today. The Stay Secure solution solves the ongoing security challenge for a product. You can find out more on this solution on our website, link provided. You can download Meta Timesys from GitHub, and here's the link. You can also upload your manifest for immediate feedback on security vulnerability to Linux Link. You can watch a video of how this is done. We have a video on YouTube. And for customers who use select Advantech risk platforms, you will get through our partnership from Advantech and Timesys, a complimentary 90-day subscription to Timesys Security Vulnerability Notification Service. So with that, I wanted to pause here, stop here, and take a look at questions.
Thanks, Maciej, and thank you, Jason. This was a really good session. You've covered a lot, and you've provided everyone with a lot of good information they can use in developing their own secure embedded applications. As Maciej said, we'll go ahead and wrap things up with a Q&A. Maciej, I do have a question here that was submitted. What is Timesys' recommendation on how to keep security up to date around Linux kernel products that are in use for 10 plus years? And does Timesys backport security patches?
Mm-hmm. So this is an interesting question, because as we know, Linux kernel is a very important part of a Linux-based product. It's the operating system, and typically what Timesys does, we recommend that when you design your product, that you stay aligned with long-term support releases of the Linux kernel. Why? Because the security vulnerabilities are commonly addressed by minor Linux kernel releases. So they are the patches to solve the CVEs are rolled into those minor releases. So if you are staying on a long-term support version of the Linux kernel, then we can assist much easier with patches that may be affecting your product. Now, LTS releases are out there for, I believe, 2 to 3 years right now. And after that time frame, we do recommend that a product consider an update to a newer LTS version. So that's how this could be done. Do we backport patches? I think that was the second part of a question. Is that correct, Teresa?
Yes, that's correct. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Normally we try not to backport patches, because once the patch is backported, well, either a customer or us, we become owners of the backported patch. So it's always best to migrate the software solution and stay aligned with LTS Linux kernel. But in certain situations, that's not possible, and we would consider backporting patches, but that would be on a case-by-case basis.
Great, thanks. Let's see, we have another question. How can I get access to the security service for my project?
The security service is offered as a subscription. So you can simply contact Timesys or Advantech and ask for security service subscription. And we would be more than happy to provide you with information on how to enable it.
Okay, looks like we have time for a couple more. And by the way, if there are any questions that you have, please feel free to email. You can reply to the email that you'll get with the links to everything, and we'll definitely get back in touch with you with any questions that you have post-event. Let's see, there's a question here. Can Timesys provide patches for security issues for CVEs that do not have patches available today?
Yes. So the answer is yes, but it's on a case-by-case basis. As you can imagine, certain vulnerabilities, part of a reason why they don't have patches available maybe because of complexity, or it may be related to something that has to be addressed also at the hardware architecture level, maybe. So it's on a case-by-case basis, but if it's possible, if it makes sense, we would be able to assist via services, via professional services in development of patches.
Okay, thanks. And I think there's one final question here that I'm seeing. Can you clarify again how to get access to Timesys' maintained security patches, the Meta Timesys security?
Meta Timesys security. Okay. Yeah. So to get access to Meta Timesys security, you have to be Timesys customer. You have to have a subscription to the security service from us. So to complete the answer, once you have a subscription, you will receive from Timesys a access to a Git location from where you can download the Meta Timesys security, and because that meta layer also provides, primarily provides the CVE patches, you will be able to sync your local version of Meta Timesys security with the Timesys repository. So that's how this is set up. But to get access to it, you need to have you have to be Timesys customer.
Okay, good information. And I don't see any other questions. Does anyone else have any questions they'd like to ask? We'll take a final request for questions. If there are no other questions, we'll go ahead and wrap things up, and hope to see you all online again next week for session 2. On behalf of myself, Maciej Halasz, Jason Jason Zhu. And I apologize, I did not introduce Akshay Bhatt. He was also online today as a panelist. He'll be online with us next week as well. He is a security architect and senior engineer at Timesys. So on behalf of all of us, thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again online next week for session 2. Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.